Jennifer Vaughan and I chat on the next Plus Talk.
My voice is powerful, and the voices of other women are powerful. Our voices could literally change the world.
Ask your healthcare provider if Biktarvy is right for you, and visit Biktarvy.com to view the important facts, including important warnings.
Welcome to Plus Talk on Plus Life, where we're all about turning positive into a plus. My guest today, I met 3 years ago in Amsterdam at the World AIDS Conference. I was newly out of the HIV closet, and this lady swept me under her wing and showed me the dark, seedy, sexy side of Amsterdam. At least that's how I remember it. Jennifer Vaughan, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Carl. It's been a long time. It's been a minute, as they say. Yeah.
It has been a minute, but in that minute, you have continued to do amazing work as someone who talks very openly about their HIV status, their story. So often, as you well know, people think HIV, gay white man issue. That wasn't the case. Tell us about your story for people who haven't had a look at your YouTube channel, and we'll put all that up later. But how did this all come to be for you? What was it like? It was pretty shocking, wasn't it?
Very shocking. I was diagnosed in 2016. In fact, I just had my 5-year anniversary. I had been dating my now husband at the time for a year, and we live here in California. I'm a little up north from you, near the ocean also. And we had just been surfing a lot. It was wintertime, and I had just not been feeling well. Didn't know what was going on. It was sort of this lingering virus that they just kept saying, it's a virus, go home and take ibuprofen, which it was a virus, they're right. But they couldn't, pinpoint anything, and it just kept getting progressively worse. And I'd say within about a month. I mean, I was going to work every day still, but I was so achy every day. I was taking a bath every day. I'm like, I just am not getting better. And then it started to turn into fevers and night sweats. And I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy. Like this is worse. It's not getting any better. And then I started what I didn't realize at the time, but I had thrush. And I was like, I got this white stuff in my mouth. Like, come on, what's going on? So I go back to this doctor's office. And we sort of call it like a doc in the box. It's doctors on duty. So every time you go, you sort of might see a different doctor. So they're not kind of putting the pieces together. Well, nobody had. Because I'm the zebra, right? I don't fit this mold, which I get in a lot of trouble for saying, but it's true.
It is true.
I'm single mom, 3 kids. Thank you. It is true. But people are offended when I say that, but it's true. So doctors didn't pinpoint me. And so they did some blood work, not an HIV test, and that blood work came back with some abnormalities. And so they weren't really sure what to do with me. So they said, look, we're sending you to an infectious disease doctor, and we've got to figure out what's going on. So I go through the weekend without seeing him, just getting worse. And ironically, my boyfriend at the time, Eric, my husband now, he was sick that weekend too. So then we start thinking, okay, I got you sick, and we just have some kind of like flu or something. But I go in on that following Monday, get all the blood work done. And I remember that doctor saying, we talked about lupus, meningitis, we talked about cancer. I mean, just don't get too worried. But if you start feeling like dizzy or like you're like not sure where you are, he was thinking meningitis, get to the hospital right away. I was like, Jesus Christ, what is going on with me? And we take all this blood. And he did ask me during that appointment, he did ask for HIV. Can we do that? Of course, he has to ask for my approval. And I said, well, yeah, but that went in one ear and out the other, because that wasn't where my mind was. I was thinking possibly a parasite from the ocean, because I'd been surfing in the winter, stormy weather, and the water gets churned up. So I go get my blood taken. 3 hours later, I get the phone call, and I'm fully expecting it to be parasite from the ocean. And I told him to call me no matter what he found out, because some people will say, they never make these phone calls. Well, yeah, they do. I needed to know as soon as they knew anything, call me. He said, Jennifer, I remember he's not an HIV specialist. I remember him being like uneasy with telling me this, because he kind of couldn't believe it himself. And he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you tested positive for HIV, for the antibody. And I remember just not having any idea like what to think. Right then it just went black, because that was not at all what I had thought. And so I'm looking over at Eric, he's looking at me, and there's nothing, I can't avoid this. I have to say to him right then and there, he's telling me it's HIV. So that conversation happened immediately, and he's looking, and he's in denial. It can't be it. But in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm sick. I took a test that showed up positive for something. It has to be. But oh my God, how the hell did this happen? How long has this been in me? And when did this happen? how long has this been brewing in my body? Like, what? Like, it was just mind boggling. And I was so sick at that time also because the HIV was my viral load was high. So it was really the craziest news. It was just absurd. It was absurd.
Because this doesn't happen to 45-year-old white women. We should point out, by the way,
Right.
that your now husband, but boyfriend at the time, is HIV negative, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Does that open Pandora's box between the two of you as far as a relationship goes, where you go, well, hang on, what's going on here? How is it you're positive? I'm like, did that on top of everything, now this trust question comes into play, or was it pretty kind of you guys were even keel?
No, it was there was a lot, like, it was not an easy time. I wasn't concerned that he was going to leave. He's from Canada, he's from Quebec, so he's here during the winter. Gosh, how
So
did that go
listen,
down?
you're like, he's not leaving me during winter. He's not going back to cold weather.
He's staying here for sure. He loves it here. He loves to surf. No, it was okay. I'd say within 30 minutes after I got off that phone call with the doctor, I knew who I got it from. I had been with somebody who was high risk for HIV. He was an ex-needle user. He used to live down in Los Angeles. But it helped me put the pieces together because then I knew exactly when it happened. It was 2013. This person and I had been together for 8 months, and he was sick the whole time we were together. When I look back on when I had my very first symptoms of my seroconversion, about 2 weeks later, I go to a gastroenterologist back in 2013 for like this esophageal pain and a super bad headache, like nothing I've ever felt before. And it did go away after a few days. But anyways, that was right at, like, we had only been apart 2 weeks. So I realized, wow, like I had been with him, exposed to him for 8 months without condoms. And I don't think I got it until the very end of our relationship. Back to Eric, my boyfriend at the time. I already knew before he even tested, he didn't have it because I knew what high risk was for HIV. And it's one of those things that I'm afraid to talk about too much because it points a finger, and I don't mean to, but I know physiologically how it's transmitted easier. And that's, if you look statistically, who has it? And so I always kind of knew bisexual men and men who might have shared needles for drugs. I was with that person. Why I sat there and had my head in the sand during that time, I have no idea why. You just don't look at someone and think they have it, you know?
Well, we don't. I mean, and that's the thing about HIV. It's like cancer. It's like diabetes. Looking at somebody, you can't just make the assumption, you know. But what's interesting to me about your story, Jennifer, is that you turned to YouTube, and you've got 50,000 subscribers. You've won awards. You've got a great following, and by doing that, you communicate to so many people in ways that you probably don't even realize how you touch them. But what was it about turning to YouTube for you? Why did you go that route? What made you decide, I'm going to share all of this very raw personal stuff with complete strangers?
Because I already had from day one, I started sharing to my family. It wasn't even hard. Phone call. You're not going to believe this. I have freaking HIV. So that became like, I told a neighbor, I told my good friends, and all of a sudden I realized I'm telling a lot of people. And now at this point, it's not really a secret. And the town's small. People could talk. And I want people to understand really what I'm going through. And I have to say, this was not a decision that I made right after my diagnosis. It took time. I ended up with AIDS. I had PCP pneumonia. I was very sick. As I got better physically, I felt better mentally. And I thought, this is all this is. I have to take one pill and I feel like myself again. Like, nobody knows this. Like, that's what I felt. Because when I looked up videos on YouTube, it was depressing. And I felt like it was all, no offense, I hate to say this, but it was all gay men. And I felt there was no one that I could relate to. So I was like, I just felt like it was people that were mad at people who had given it to them. And they were like, yelling about that. And I thought there was just nothing positive. And I'm like, there's no one talks about that. This is kind of like, not that you want to have a virus, but my God, this is totally controlled and manageable today. And I don't feel like there's enough people talking about it. So, and thank you for doing what you do, because obviously you're spreading that information also. So what happened is I chose, after literally 5 months of being home and, getting back into the routine of going to work and living with this new status, going to the grocery store, going, oh, nobody's looking at me, it's okay. So I realized that I wanted to tell this story to my 300 Facebook friends and family. So these are high school friends, because all they had known is that I had pneumonia. And about 3 weeks later, I decided to tell my story on Facebook, written with some pictures. And people were so supportive. It was unreal. I mean, I remember just sitting there all night. I remember just before I hit send, my finger was like shaking. Like I wrote this long thing about what had happened. I was so excited to tell people about CD4 counts and viral loads. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell everybody what this is and what I'm going through. Okay. So I do that. And then after that went so well and everyone kind of knew my status, I thought I want to do a video because there might be another woman out there like me. I don't know one yet, but I thought the only way to reach them is on YouTube. And I thought, and maybe I can help some other woman test first or be prepared or understand her symptoms that maybe she doesn't know she even has, and then she can go test. So there was that. I wanted to find a woman, and I wanted to be able to share my story with my friends and family on Facebook. And the only way to do that was on YouTube because I needed a platform that would take, 30 minutes to talk.
And as I said, it has resonated. 50,000 followers, subscribers. You are a vocal, fierce advocate of U equals U undetectable equals untransmittable. We love all the work you do. Jennifer Vaughan, we are out of time, but we will put all your information up on the Plus Life website at pluslifemedia.com. You can check out links to Jennifer's YouTube videos there. She is a phenomenal power in the HIV advocacy world. That is all the time. Don't forget to follow us at Plus Life Media on social media. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.